Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to CIGRE Chat. I am here with the chair of CIGRE Australia, Mr. Sean McGoldrick. How are you, sir?
I'm exhausted but happy, Kerry. It's been an exhilarating number of days here. It's been brilliant. I can't even count how many days.
This is the last leg. This is the last interview.
I know, it's the last gasp, but we have some important stuff on tomorrow, technical tours. But last night was just great. It was so good to get 1,100 people up the mountain, 1,100 people down, and nobody got lost, let alone eaten by a crocodile.
Yes.
So it was great.
We were running around at the last minute making sure there was no one hidden around somewhere.
It was quite fun. I enjoyed the Army Duck tour. And
were you one of the ones that got stuck?
No, I didn't get stuck.
Okay,
I didn't get stuck. I was a later one. But look, it was fabulous to be in the rainforest at night. And some of the beautiful animals were just lovely, really, really lovely. So enjoyed that.
Did you get to cuddle a snake?
No, not my territory, really, Kerry. But no, I was looking very carefully at the wombat and at the Tasmanian devils, of course, and I enjoyed the crocodile show. And there was, I love the way the staff were coming around with various little skinks and so on to.
Oh, really?
They were wandering around and show and tell. It was very good. It was really good.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, some of our international visitors were just amazed, but they could get so close to the animals.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved the cultural show too. It was great.
The spear throwing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was insane.
I was worrying.
You take that to a next board meeting, maybe.
Exactly.
Yes. Just turn up with your spear.
We've an activity here now. We've a new activity board. A safety moment with spears.
Yeah, that's right, yes. Oh, it should be good. Mate, no, we're in day 4, near the end of the symposium, right? What are the things you've gotten out of it?
Well, I'll tell you, the first and greatest thing was just reconnecting with so many people. Kerry, I was bumping into people I first worked with 35 years ago, 25 years ago, people I hadn't seen in a decade. It was so pleasant just to re-engage with people, find out where they're at, what they're doing. And of course, we're all still in this wonderful industry. It's brilliant. Many of them are still in the same companies they were in when I knew them. And they're all still passionate and enthusiastic about this wonderful industry. And that was great to see. It was really good to see.
That's definitely what you want. Yeah. Now, the momentum started, right? Because obviously there's a lot of challenges up ahead. We are now starting to see the ball starting to roll. How do we keep that momentum going? How do we keep that engine traveling along the track?
This is so important for humankind. It's so important for this nation that we get this energy transition right. If we don't get it right in terms of timing or economics, it's a disaster. We know the clock is ticking and we know we have to reach carbon neutrality. And many of us realize how important the energy industry is in that. It is central to achieving it. And of course, many of the people who attended our symposium here are at the very heart of engineering, and I really mean that, engineering this change. Now, a lot of people got it going. The momentum, as you've said, is now there. And we have to keep it going simply by doing all those great things that engineers always do. We're diligent, we're careful, we think things through, we stick to, we deliver infrastructure that takes years, sometimes decades to build, but we concentrate on it and we deliver. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to take it now, we've got to move it from being purely a political debate, and it's now you got to hand it to the technocrats now, Kerry, and let us get on with it. Give us the fuel, give us the money, give us some permits, and we'll just crack on and do it. And there's a lot of work to do, but I'm comfortable now that it is mostly in the hands of those people who specialize in delivering linear infrastructure in particular.
That's it. And how do we transfer that? Because there's a lot of stuff happening in the industry itself. There's been a lot of talk about communication collaboration. How do we make that happen over the next few years?
Well, I think it's very important the peak bodies in our industry continue to collaborate. So it's not just CIGRE, it's not just the Australian Power Institute, it's not just the Energy Networks Association, it's not just the regulators and their peak bodies, it's not just the economists and their peak bodies. it's the universities, it's the utilities, it's state government, local government, it's federal government. We all have to collaborate. And one of the great things about a body like CIGRE is that's our natural space. That's what we were set up to do in 1921. It's to share knowledge and to collaborate. And you only had to walk around this wonderful conference center in the last 4 days, and you could feel that spirit, you could feel that, you could smell it in the air. Or maybe that was just engineers. I don't know. Who knows? But it's that collaboration is the very DNA of this organization. Yeah. So that's what we have to keep on doing. And we need to keep doing that for decades to come to get this right. And that's why the NGN is so important with the young engineers coming through. All of those things coming together in a real spirit of collaboration will save us millions of dollars. It'll stop reinventing of wheels. It'll get the right people in the right place at the right time to do some really crucial work.
You mentioned NGN there, and you're dead right. The importance is not only this generation, but the next generation, and the diversity, and like the women in breakfast.
Yeah. The women in breakfast would have been a good concept, but it was women in engineering breakfast.
Women in engineering breakfast, yes. Yeah, well, yes. Correct.
We weren't serving up women for breakfast.
Serving women, he's a plater.
No. We had some really amazing women leaders tell us about their personal journey and give their view on how to progress both the diversity and inclusion agenda in our industry. And we have been, as an industry, we have been making progress, and much more so in Australia than in many other places. But gosh, there's still a lot of work to do.
It's only 20% at the moment.
20 to 25% in most companies.
That is a massive opportunity there to really stimulate this industry.
And it's there is not just the raw material you can get in. It's also about retaining good women who have joined companies, who worked in companies, and then they take a break they want to raise a family, then they need to be able to come back. And it's getting that coming back into the company's area is just as important as getting them into the company. So all of those things need attention. We are getting better as an industry. For me, it's not just about making sure we get women recruited, but we have to campaign to make sure that they get into the right courses in university, that they study the right subjects in secondary school, that they have good women models and role models so that they can see these things are possible and that you can have a wonderful career in engineering. And there are so many different aspects of it. And the old idea of it's a smelly, oily, male-dominated endeavor is completely wrong. And once we get that message to the 8, 9, 10-year-olds, then we will see those numbers come up pretty rapidly.
Yeah, and that's what it's got to start at the younger age.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And you know, if your family is into engineering, you'll drag your kids in that direction.
Yeah, well,
if your grandfather, like my grandfather, was into engineering, you'll drag your kids that way. But that's role models. What about all the kids who don't have that?
Yes.
And that's where people in CIGRE have to get out and role model and have to engage through their own companies, but also through CIGRE, with the second level education as well as third level, but especially year 7, 8, 9, I think is critical in our context here in Australia.
Now we're talking about Australia, and Australia is a continent. And obviously we've got a number of states within Australia. How do we stop thinking as states and start thinking as a continent?
Isn't it strange? I mean, we've been federated since 1901. And the last time I looked, that's over 124 years ago.
Yeah,
123 years ago.
About that.
But it is still such a state-based power system, state-based laws in many different jurisdictions. It's only recently, through the hard work and efforts of groups like AEMO, who are publishing documents that span all of the power system, that people are waking up to the fact that what we have is actually state-based power systems that are weakly interconnected. They need to be absolutely fully interconnected and operating in concert to get the most out of renewable energy. The geographic diversity of having wind blowing in Tasmania and sun shining in Queensland and being able to back each other up through a series of interconnectors is compelling. That's the reason that's how this will be all economic. We need to make sure that transmission is built interconnecting both north-south and especially east-west. And that is something that we've woken up to in the last probably 8 years as an industry, but a lot of our colleagues in other professions, and especially our political leaders, are only beginning to understand now. So we have to show them that, and we have to explain the importance of interconnection and demonstrate how it will save lots of money and improve security and reliability of our power system.
Do you think that's the biggest challenge, is getting the political side on board?
Yes, it's politicians have a very tough job. They have to cover so much. And let's face it, we're a highly technical industry. So getting their attention and getting a level of understanding of the complexity of our industry is a difficult job, but we have to do that. We have to get them on board and have lots of conversations. Again, institutions like the AER, the ENA, CIGRE need to talk in language that politicians can understand, and they'll get it pretty quickly. They're smart people, they'll get it, and then once you have the political class behind you, we know technically we can do it. But we may need to get some legislation changed. We may need to get some federal or state funding allocated. There may be issues that we are unaware of that would impact, but by having a conversation with a politician, they can, behind the scenes, knit things together and go, oh, if I don't get this right, this policy won't work either. So we have to engage much more fulsomely with both federal, state, and local politicians in the coming years.
Some challenges and definitely opportunities ahead for the industry.
Yeah.
Sean, is there any last words you'd love to say to the delegates here at the symposium?
Oh, absolutely. Look, Kerry, I just want to thank every last one of them for coming along. I want to thank our sponsors as well. You've done a marvelous job. I love the exhibition space. I hope everybody has enjoyed themselves, and above all else, travel safely and go home. And remember how good it was to talk to each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sean McGoldrick, the Chair of CIGRE Australia. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you.